Hey everybody, welcome. We've got about 5 minutes before we get into actual class time. So if you're joining live, you might just want to grab 2 blocks, and if you're going to do music, you can get a device that's going to do the music for you. Um, And if you are joining live and you want to send me a note on the chat, you can do that. The chat's up whenever the live class is up. Hey, happy Sunday and happy other day if you're picking this up whenever you're picking it up. Of course, all the classes that are recorded live stay on the channel. So there's a bunch of classes for anybody that visits this channel to practice yoga with. And on Sundays, I always try and bring in a yummy yin into the mix. A restorative, hug-like practice that just takes care of us. Weekend vibes, that is. Like I said, we've got just about 4 more minutes before we start the class, so I'm going to honor that time and let people find their way if they're doing live. And for those already with me today, with us together, with community, you can grab yourself 2 blocks for practice. You can grab your devices if you think you're going to do the playlist. I've curated a playlist for today. And you don't have to, of course. Practicing with your breath is usually a good playlist in and of itself. If you do grab props and you don't have blocks in your home practice, you can grab 2 towels, roll them up, create a kind of height to how you roll up your towels that is like-minded to these blocks, and that will serve. I'm just kind of looking at the chat here and there to see if people are joining the live practice. One of the things that's nice about having any kind of time on the front end for your practice is not only gathering the things that you feel you need to support your physical practice, but also kind of gathering a bit of perspective and even an emotional awareness for what you might need for your practice. So it's literally shifting gears from a more kind of busy participant-like way of being in your life to shifting gears and kind of transitioning into still participant and very much awake, but a practice of within. And so there's a decision making that happens, and that better serves a practice on the mat if you become aware to that transition and you make yourself awake and mindful. I mean, mindful is a kind of overused word these days in our world, but if you stay awake to the fact that you're transitioning into a practice, and that practice is about digging deeper into yourself and being curious about the ways that you can serve yourself better. So it's 11 o'clock Eastern time, and it's 8 a.m. Pacific. And we're going to get started with the live practice. And again, if you're visiting anytime after live, welcome to this practice, this yin practice. It's going to be about an hour. And the playlist for today is YIN Sunday, September 6th. The playlist is also cut and paste into the chat and into the description of the class. If you're not live with us, you can always pick up that playlist. So go ahead and lie down and make space for yourself on your mat. Make sure that your props, whether they're towels or blocks, are nearby. And then again, if you've got devices for music, they're near to you, but just also being aware that these devices aren't meant to distract you from dropping into yourself over this next little bit of time. It's a little bit of a balancing act when we kind of went virtual in so many ways with this practice over this time in our world, because we still have to manage the parts of the practice amongst this kind of virtual world. We still have to maybe, turn off your mail apps and turn off your chat apps and all that kind of stuff, because you don't want those things to come knocking on your practice door. So just move through about 3 breaths, maybe even 4, maybe even 5. Where you shift in and you make decisions about what this practice is going to be in servitude of. And then if you're working with a playlist today that I've curated and you want to grab whatever device is going to hit play for you, you can do that now. And I'll count down so we kind of take off at around the same time. You're going to hit the playlist in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You'll hear a little movement at the front of this playlist as though somebody's getting ready to play for us. And then there should be a guitar. And as you become soft to our Shavasana, our corpse pose, I want you to make a little space, breathing space at the armpits. So there isn't a tightly wound kind of thing happening with your body. There's a loose approach to things, a softness through the back body. That breathing space at the armpits and the softness that echoes down into your thighs, your glutes, your heavy legs as a whole. And with the palms facing up, you might be able to feel the back of the hands just kind of weigh down to the point where you kind of feel the bones touch the ground. And the weight of the bones, the weight of our structure. That beautiful structure. And as you start to deepen the breath, you might get a little beyond just the top space of your chest, right? You'll start to inhale deeper in to your lower abdomen even. That kind of feeling of your, maybe even your pelvic floor expanding. And off expansion, there's softness, there's settling in. You'll probably find more of that feeling on the exhale breath. We'll move through one more inhale, soft jaw, but bring it in through the nose. And then slow and steady out through the nose. Keep your soft jaw, but draw it out through the nose and be slow about it. Feel it. And bring the legs together long and point your toes, and you can stretch your arms overhead and point through fingertips and toe tips and breathe in. And then softness out of that reach, breathe out. You can keep your arms overhead and step the soles of the feet to the mat. The feet are about hip width distance as they step down, and the toes look straight ahead to the back of the mat. Press through the feet, lift your pelvic floor, breathe in. Out the nose, put your bum down. And we'll flow that 3 more times. Inhale is to lift a little higher, perhaps, and press through the upper back. And exhale is to come down, and it's real just movement. Medicine. Movement is medicine. Inhale to lift. Exhale to come down slow. And one more time, and you might lift a little higher to breathe in and take another sip at the top, pressing through the upper back. And then as you exhale out the nose, you'll come down through the bum. You'll keep this shape in your lower body, and you'll bring your arms forward. And you're going to lift your bum one more time through an inhale and take one of your props and put it underneath your sacrum at either, if it's a block, lowest or medium height. You might step your feet a little wider to feel more space open up across the front of the hips. You might let your knees feel a little heavy so that they're not perfect in space. They might kind of fall a little more open or a little more inward. And find a space that echoes something interesting in the body to explore. Be awake. Be mindful. There's that word again. Of your sacrum, grounding into the support of your prop. And when things ground, you have a little bit more freedom. So when we're rooted in life and in our practice here, we have a little more freedom to explore. You can explore in the way of the breath. You can go deeper with the breath. You can go broader and long. Or you can explore in the depth of the shape. You might take another inhale and exhale here. And you might eventually long the legs so that you kind of investigate going for a little more without ever compromising the fluidity of your breath. As you settle into your shape, you become still to the shape by shavasanaing your arms, breathing space at the armpits, palms face up. You might part the upper and lower jaw so there's a little more ease through the expression of your face. That expression mattering to the body. When we're tense in the jaw and when our eyes are wide with tension, or when we're tight in our expressions of the face, they tend to echo into the body, not feeling quite as free to let go. For me, the practice of yin should almost feel like every shape you encounter, there's that possibility of even falling asleep in it. Letting go so much of the steering wheel that you can just become a passenger in your body. You can trust that your body and your breath are harmonized to take you on a real significant ride. A profound ride, a deep ride. I'm going to be here for a little bit more time, just kind of exploring the opening through the lower back that also partners with the opening in the front of the hips. A lot of the time when we have lower back pain, it also is very much linked to what's happening with the tightness or some kind of hurt in the hips. So this is a nice gesture, if not conversation, around maybe altering that, if that's you. When you invite movement as you're kind of taking on other shapes in yin, allow the transitions to become kind of like the poses themselves. Becoming really awake to the offering of that transition and that movement, that medicine is movement vibe. So you're going to move slow to bend your legs. And the soles of the feet would go to the mat, and if you were already there and you didn't go deeper, we're all kind of meeting up together. You can keep the block at this height. You could also shift into a higher height if you were on the lowest height. And then you're going to kick up one leg at a time, mostly straight through the legs without stressing the straight out. Make sure that you're grounded in the sacrum, so that when you kick your legs up, you're not kind of lifting through the bum. That you feel really grounded in the sacrum to support the legs being up in the air. Imperfectly. They may move a bit, but not because you're moving them. They may be bent a little bit. Last little offering here might have you putting the arms overhead in a deep bend to the elbows that mimics a kind of cactus arms. So your chest body is open and your legs go high up into the sky, again imperfectly, just allowing for this kind of freedom in the feet, freedom in the toes. And it's in that space that you let go of a big exhale. In this supported staff pose here, you get to kind of turn it upside down, literally. As an inversion, it allows for a shift of energy in your body, which is especially important if you're feeling stuck emotionally, physically. It's always good to just turn it upside down and give it a new perspective. Two more breaths. When you exhale, how about you just let it go for an audible exhale? Whether it's a moan or a hum or a ah. Listen carefully. You're going to take your hands. You're going to bring your arms out more in front. Put your hands on your thighs, fingertips looking up to the knees, and bend one leg at a time. It should maybe tingle a bit through the feet as the energy gets shifted again. And with your feet suspended off of the ground, you might spread your toes and move your feet to around your ankles. And then you can slide your hands up to your knees, and you can hold your knees from the outside so your fingertips are looking to the insides of the knees, and a little ushering wideness in the knees. Just a bit until you get as wide as you can. And in this space here, you're not pulling your knees, you're just templating your hands there. So as they hold on, something natural happens in this space. And you'll start to notice the sensation in the inside of the legs, a little bit into towards the groin area, but also the outer hips. And as you ground through your upper back body and your sacrum onto your prop, just keep finding that existence of being supported here as your body explores, as your breath harmonizes with your body and you just let go into the shape. And if there's any kind of yang-like effort, it's probably in the hands just holding the knees. Just be aware that you're not pulling anything or muscling in the arms. You're just hanging out. Take one more breath in to fill up your belly, not just your chest, not just the middle of your torso area there, but low down. Taking another sip, and then exhaling out the mouth. And slide your hands a little more to the outsides of the knees and help your knees close like a book in air. And hands to thighs, fingertips look up to the knees. One knee at a time goes towards the back of your mat so your foot can touch down. And as you press through the feet, you're going to sneak the block out from underneath you to lift your bum just a little high, not too much, and come down slow. And widen your feet. Maybe mat with distance to the edges of your mat, your feet go, and then your knees knock inward to the center to rest up against one another and hang out there. And so just being awake, aware, mindful of all the ways that we're looking for a little more. And I want you to show up to the simplicity of now. This is not a practice of grand gestures. This is not a practice of muscling our way in. We're in servitude of simplicity. We're in servitude of the breath and feeling all the nuanced ways that we can affect our body and our breath into a deep change. You're going to knock your knees out wide, and as you do that, you'll heel toe, toe heel your feet more to a neutral center place of the mat, feet hip width distance. And you're going to roll over to your side body in the fetal position, and I'm going to roll over to the left. You can roll over to the side that services you looking at the monitor if that feels better. And you'll curl up in the fetal position so your knees are more in line with your hips. And there's a real hug of yourself in this shape. Your back body exposed, your shoulder blades getting a little bit of that feeling like they're your lungs. And you breathe into your shoulder blades for space. And then on your next breath, you're starting to ready in a twist. So your knees and your legs stay more in this shape, a little high in line with your hips. And as you roll your heart open, you're going to try and kind of maybe shift your shoulders onto the mat legitimately. And what happens for me is that top knee, and in this case, my right knee, it picks up a bit. So you can use your props. One of your props in between your thighs and between your knees to kind of help it like a pillow would in your bed, to kind of just land in this place of grounding again, because we can only explore going deeper from a place of being rooted. And as you've opened up your heart and your chest body to your sky, with mostly both shoulder blades touching down, you can either tee out your arms, you can cactus your arms, whatever feels at ease here. And then maybe you look over that shoulder, and in my case, I'm looking over my right shoulder. And that just tweaks the twist a little deeper in. And then the fun part about our twists here, this shape, is you can really feel all the ways you go deeper with breath. Because the breath kind of has to navigate the shape that you've put your body in. But it's not without showing you something in the way of how your breath serves the body. And as I get quiet in my body, meaning there's no movement really except for what subtly comes about by meeting this shape in gravity and in time, As I get quiet in the body, I might play with where I filter the breath in and out of my body. And just see how that impacts everything. Could you put your breath in your sacrum? Could you take it out from there? Could you put your breath into that side body that's open to the twist? Could you take it out from there? It's totally natural that as you get still, your mind gets busier and you start to move through all of the to-dos. And then the invitation is that awareness is part of the work, right? So as you become awake and aware to all the busy ways your mind wants to be, that's when you zone back into the breath, zone back into servitude of this shape. One breath at a time, following it in and out of your body. And take one more inhale and exhale. And if you're looking over a shoulder, for me it was my right shoulder, you'll bring that look back to center. And still in the twist, you can stretch your arms overhead. And wherever that twist is happening on that side body, you're going to grab that wrist. So in my case, it's left hand to right wrist. And just do like a little pull so that you're opening the side body of that twist a little more with long arms overhead. And then you'll soften that reach in the arms and you're going to roll back onto the fetal position. And if you have a prop between your legs, you please move that prop. But keep your legs as is. And then from that fetal position, you'll use your top arm and hand to push your torso up with your legs in the same shape. And you're going to turn your heart to face the top of your mat. And you're going to put your forearms like Sphinx pose or like dolphin plank onto your mat. So you've turned your torso around to face the front of your mat and you've propped your heart up. And you've gotten a little bit more stuff going on in the way of the twist. Now you can hang out here, you can layer your forearms and put your forehead on your forearms. And in that case, you would really just be heavy through the heart and the chest towards the mat. Some people can get their chest flat onto the mat. Some people might sneak a prop or a towel or a block underneath their chest. I'm just trying to find all the ways that you can rock out in the sweetness of this pose. So in that kind of space of really lying down and having your heart more flat to the mat. So I might have to adjust my little microphone to get that. Yeah. And so if you can imagine the first part of this, when we were just in a supine kind of twist, it was almost like we were having a conversation in our body, and we took one side of the conversation. And now we're still in the conversation, but the other person's talking. There's the other side of it. And just practice a couple more breaths here where you can literally feel your torso growing a little wider. And experience the exhale off of that give. Peep your head up, peep your heart up, come onto the forearms again. That kind of look the same as a dolphin plank in the arms or that Sphinx setup. And then you're going to press, in my case it's my right palm, so it was that palm and arm that was on the top of your fetal position. So as you press into that hand, you can thread the other arm through to get almost to the fetal position that you came out of. And then you're just going to roll onto your back body in one movement and take your Shavasana with a bit of your new body here. And sides won't feel the same. But it's kind of the cool consequence of coming out of these shapes and then just seeing how your body has shifted. And because the body is this vessel for all of us, meaning it's a vessel for you and all that you are, when you shift it and when you mold it into something new, you're also releasing a whole bunch of new aspects to you, new ways of getting into you. You can take 2 more breaths. And then you'll just roll to the fetal position on the other side. And that fetal position will be a really sweet hug for yourself, where you curl the knees in and you kind of imagine you're getting ready for that nap time vibe. And if you really want to go deep into the opening of the back body, when we get to that twist, you'll curl your knees up a little more. And as you get ready to twist, you might just take that kind of get ready big inhale. And then you'll just roll your heart open and maybe walk your shoulder blades into a position where they could all just kind of touch down to the ground. Now this side of my twist is a little less mobile. It's a little more work and support for me to get my back body to the ground. And so I've got to prop accordingly with my block or your towel if that's what you're using. And I just got to move a little slower to feel what's okay. So that's all the stuff that you can look for in your pose too. You want a sensation of stretch and twist through your side body that you're offering that to. But you want to be able to be fluid about your breath in and out through the nose. And it may be the case that you look over that opposite shoulder. But in my case, for example, on this side, it wasn't the case on the other side. It just doesn't suit. I'm like, no, I'm good right here. So just being awake, being mindful of what is really being called. What is your calling here? And whether really being in tune with the playlist of your breath or aligning your breath to the sweetness of that playlist that we have for today. There's a kind of musical instrument nonetheless in that breath. There's a kind of momentum or rhythm that you're able to know. And you can kind of fuse that into your shape. As you meet your body here and you meet your breath, again, just being aware of all the ways we're trying to be busy. whether it's little shifts here and there, whether it's waiting for the next cue from me, whether it's latching on to the music too much. Because that kind of awakeness is it's like a tool in terms of being able to recognize it in our work off the mat. Be here now. Be here now. Travel through about 5 more breaths. Again, as per usual, I like to emphasize the word travel. So when we're enjoying the scenery and we're traveling, we take our time and we savor. And perhaps on that last 5 breath, that 5th breath, I should say, as you climb to the top on your inhale, you might just hold for a beat, feel the space you've given your body by taking an inhale. You might take another sip into that space. And then let her go. If you're looking over your shoulder, bring your head back to center. Keep the twist still. And then stretch your arms overhead. Kind of almost like a morning stretch vibe. And grab the wrist that is involved on the side body of the twist. So for me, I'm grabbing my left wrist with my right hand and a little bit of pull. And that pull opening up a little bit of space that you can breathe into and out from. Bend your arms out of that stretch. Roll right back into the fetal position. If you got a prop in between your legs that was helping out, let her go. And then use your top arm and your top hand and press down in front of your face and turn your torso around as you lift your torso to bring your forearms into a kind of sphinx pose of the forearms. Also a way that you'd put your forearms to the mat for dolphin plank. And right away as you turn into this, you're already starting to get the benefits of this kind of counter twist. In fact, it might suit you to hang out here, or you can start to investigate coming down. And you can put your forehead to the mat. You could put your forehead to layered forearms. Or you might have a kind of different stretch where you rest your chin onto the floor or onto your layered hands. You might also bring a cheek to the mat so that you can rest a little more to this and get your heart flat to the ground. And then the work that we do here is less is more. We keep looking for ways to strip away the armor and the muscle and the dew. And it's like we're peeling an onion and we are the onion, and we get really into the nitty-gritty of the layer of rest. So one layer at a time into a deeper expression of that rest. Again, if you notice that you're traveling in busyness, it's part of the work, so it's not a bad thing to necessarily notice. But maybe you could just drop in and follow your inhales. Either count them in and count them out, or notice a little glow or color that you give to your inhale on the way in, and a shift of color on the way out. So the point of focus is really just to land in the here and now of this shape, harmonizing with your breath. One of the things I love about this piece of music we're with right now, if you're listening to this playlist, is as we hear somebody so passionately play the guitar, we can also hear their breath, right? When we're in our passion and our deepest expressions of selves, we got this prana about us. We really get to drop in to that real essence of being alive. So no matter what you do, whether in this practice or off the mat, you have to have a relationship to being alive with your breath. Deep inhale. Deep sigh out. Peep up your head. Press a little bit through the arms, lift up the heart, come back onto the forearms, still in that kind of twist. I'm going to use that hand that was on top for fetal position. For me, it's my left hand. You'll press down, straighten that arm, and then thread the other arm through so that you can fluidly roll onto your back body. Should feel kind of like a relief as you take yourself into your corpse pose, Shavasana. Take one more inhale and exhale here. And then take your time, right? It's a soft gesture. It's not abrasive. Take your time finding a sit. So as you get up into a sit, you can be really relaxed as you motion in. And you take one of your props. For me, it's a block. It might be a towel for you. It's going to be at the lowest height. So if my hand here underneath the block, that's the lowest height, right? So not that, definitely not that, but this. And I want it to go across the midsection of my spine, my back body, I guess, horizontally. So that if I were to mirror it at my front body, it would be at the heart of the rib cage, kind of. And then as I lie down and hit that middle horizontally, my bum should be able to touch down on the ground, no lifting, and my head should be able to lay down. And there will be this real big opening through the front midsection of me. And it will feel a little confronting, no doubt. Because we're almost busting through a kind of rigid space in our body that stays compact a lot of the time, maybe as a way of protecting or even building a bit of armor for us. But I want you to trust in all the ways that you can open this space up to build for a stronger version of you. And part of being strong is also being open and vulnerable. So there are times when we need to feel that cased in vibe of our body. But there are times equal to that that we need to open up. And what happens one breath at a time as we meet this space and gravity is eventually our body just kind of opens up a little more each time. It's like we're cooking a little bit. And as we cook almost the meat on the bones, there's a little bit of ease and tenderness that filters in. And for sure, as you explore playing with the depth of your breath, it's going to meet this pose pretty dynamically. Try and be curious about that and at the same time playful. It'll help with any bit of fear that sets in. Here for about 4 more breaths. Not a very long hold. Out of that 4th breath, to transition out, you want to move slow for sure, so that you feel the transition like you would the pose. And you want to help your head up slow, so it's level or higher than your chest. And then you keep that head up with your strong kind of core shape there. And you pick up onto the forearms and elbows, and one hand at a time you sit up. Remove your prop, lie back down. Find whatever expression of neutrality there is in lying down to the mat. And travel through, travel, savor, 3 breaths. And get back up to a sit, slow and steady. And take one of your blocks and you're going to go slightly higher on the height. And it's going to go across the upper back body, more in line with the shoulder blades. And as you start to lay back for that, you're going to take your second prop. So your heart will splay pretty high, and with your second prop, it'll go a little lower probably to catch your head like a pillow. If you can't catch your head like a pillow, bring your second prop to a higher height. That's no problem. You don't want your head hanging suspended in air. You want a little bit of support there and grounding. Remember, where you're rooted from is where you can explore. And so now we've traveled up that spine and up the torso, and we're kind of like digging in and peeking into deeper openings. Keep your legs soft and your toes opened up wide to the sides of the room. And really use your breath to dive in. You'll feel it. You big breath in, you're going to feel the stretch take on a whole different meaning. Not to mention cracking our heart wide open. Wide open and ready to meet. Meet the world, meet our loved ones, even meet the people we don't like so much. Why not? Wide open. Mm-hmm. Take a deep breath in and hold when you get to the top for a beat. Explore that space. And then exhale out. So listen, folks, you can stay here a little longer. But when you do get out, you're going to want to help your head up level with your chest. And you're going to want to use your elbows and your forearms to get up to a sit. And when you get out of it, you're going to need to lay back down flat. So that's my prescription for the day. You have to agree to come out of that shape. You are meeting a Shavasana. And I'm not going to tell you when to come out, because it may be that you are feeling so much and you want to keep feeling. But you're going to agree to this final shape of Shavasana. The neutrality of the spine and the back body to the mat and support. It doesn't matter when you take it. It doesn't matter if it's long beyond the playlist ending. But maybe you equal your Shavasana to what you explored in that final shape before it. Maybe even a bit longer. Everybody's journey will be very different. So I'm not going to tell you what to necessarily look for. But I'm going to promise you that something will reveal itself. And take a deep breath in through the nose and deep breath out. Dogs and yoga. Stay as long as you like. Thank you for joining today on this yin practice. Lots of love. Namaste.